my life totally.
They're ready to walk the journey of sustainable sobriety, but need that assistance. And that's where we come in as that linkage, that missing link of being their answer in the meantime. Until they can sustain on their own, they need that linkage. So we are that missing link in being their answer in the meantime. As a clinician, that is my calling, to help bring the health out of people. We're all born healthy, and then there's things and circumstances in our life that causes us to be sick. And that's what my ministry is to help people on their path to healing. And this is truly my mission.
New insight, new understanding the process of achievement, understanding what it really means to achieve. Thank you, New Perspective, for helping me. New Perspective is helping me change my life totally.
They're ready to walk the journey of sustainable sobriety, but need that assistance. And that's where we come in as that linkage, that missing link of being their answer in the meantime. Until they can sustain on their own, they need that linkage. So we are that missing link in being their answer in the meantime. As a clinician, that is my calling, to help bring the health out of people. We're all born healthy, and then there's things and circumstances in our life that causes us to be sick. And that's what my ministry is to help people on their path to healing. And this is truly my mission.
New insight, new understanding the process of achievement, understanding what it really means to achieve. Thank you, New Perspective, for helping me. New Perspective is helping me change my life totally.
They're ready to walk the journey of sustainable sobriety, but need that assistance. And that's where we come in as that linkage, that missing link of being their answer in the meantime. Until they can sustain on their own, they need that linkage. So we are that missing link in being their answer in the meantime. As a clinician, that is my calling, to help bring the health out of people. We're all born healthy, and then there's things and circumstances in our life that causes us to be sick. And that's what my ministry is to help people on their path to healing. And this is truly my mission.
New insight, new understanding the process of achievement, understanding what it really means to achieve. Thank you, New Perspective, for helping me. New Perspective is helping me change my life totally.
They're ready to walk the journey of sustainable sobriety, but need that assistance. And that's where we come in as that linkage, that missing link of being their answer in the meantime. Until they can sustain on their own, they need that linkage. So we are that missing link in being their answer in the meantime. As a clinician, that is my calling, to help bring the health out of people. We're all born healthy, and then there's things and circumstances in our life that causes us to be sick. And that's what my ministry is to help people on their path to healing. And this is truly my mission.
new insight, new understanding, understanding the process of achievement, understanding what it really means to achieve. Thank you, New Perspective, for helping me.
Hello, and welcome to our Behavior Modification webinar, co-sponsored by Mental Health and Recovery Service Board of Lucas County. Thank you for taking an important step towards your sustainable sobriety, whether it is for you personally or for someone that you love. Either way, we say thank you and welcome. Next slide. My name is Arlene, and I am the Director of New Perspective Sober Living, where we aim to be your answer in the meantime. This is not just a cute, catchy slogan. We truly will be there for our clients in the meantime. In the meantime, while they develop and learn effective skills and behaviors that will result in true life changes that helps them stay sober. Next slide. Next slide. New Perspective is a family-owned business birthed out of personal experience with loved ones who were struggling on their walk of sobriety. The key facilitator, Sam, is my brother. You will hear more from Sam later. Amy, the advanced practice nurse, is a very close friend of mine for over 25 years, and you will also hear from Amy later. We all have a love and concern for those individuals who are trying to walk this sobriety journey. That's where we come in. While, of course, we will have scientific components to our approach, we also have a personal experience, which gives us the passion for what we do. We're committed to excellence and to holding ourselves to that standard, which is why we voluntarily became members of regulatory bodies that will hold us accountable and ensure quality. These programs are not required, but we believe in demonstrating by action. And that's why we joined voluntarily. We want to show how committed we are to serving our clients with excellence. Next slide. So what is our mission? Who are we? What are we about? Our sole purpose of existing is to offer an alternative to addictive lifestyles by providing a supportive environment and support system long-term. Next slide. So the overview, we utilize holistic, multidisciplinary approach to our program. This is a mouthful, I understand. But simply put, we look at the entire person, understanding that the person is not the addiction and the addiction is not the person. We bring that separation. That person is more than an addiction. Our team consists of specialized clinicians that will look at the entire person, thus multidisciplinary and holistic. What is holistic? What does it mean? It means that we look at the physical person as well as emotional, the mental health, and looking at them as a whole person and not just a divided person of addiction. You may think, how does this differ from any other program? I'm glad you asked. We will walk alongside you after aftercare. And that's where we hang our shingle. We are a program that will walk alongside you. That is our niche, after your aftercare. Most programs leave clients to find their way magically after they complete an inpatient program and a few weeks of aftercare. Our research revealed this. It revealed that most relapse happen during this phase. And this is where we will come in and be a part of you along this journey and be that missing link. During your recovery walk, we will walk with you and you will benefit from very unique, individualized treatment. Nothing will be cookie cutter because we realize that everyone's trigger is unique and different for them. Our coaching sessions will be built around you, not us. Next slide. To help give you a glimpse of our multidisciplinary approach, I would like to introduce our collaborating clinician, Ms. Amy Gentz, nurse practitioner. Amy.
Hello, everyone. I'm a family practitioner with 20 years of experience. I've worked in Northwest Ohio the majority of my career. I am honored to be part of Arlene and Sam's New Perspective Sober Living Ministry, and I will be providing our clients with an individualized, holistic plan of care, as well as solution-based therapy that is goal-oriented and problem-focused. I've been personally affected by this disease and watched my uncle struggle with alcohol and drug abuse for many years. He sought treatment, he beat the disease, and so can you if you're willing to make a lifetime commitment of sobriety. I would like to introduce our keynote speaker, Sam Ford, who will elaborate on Sober Living's ministry.
Hello, everyone. It's so exciting to see everyone. Thank you for joining us on New Perspective Sober Living, your answer in the meantime. Let me give you a little brief definition of perspective. Perspective is the capacity to view things in their time, relations, or relative importance, okay? We are going to be coming from the cognitive behavioral therapy point of view, and cognitive behavioral therapy is a systematic approach that addresses dysfunctional emotions, behavior, and thought processes, okay? When a person tries to change, what has to change first is their thinking. Thinking controls behavior. I still do. I have a very close friend who once told me while I was in prison, he said, Raymond, you thought a certain way for so long. If you want to change that behavior, you must change the way you think. And so my change came from just that little passage in his letter to me. And I stuck with that, and I stuck with it. And I began to change the way I think. I began to change my whole lifestyle by what I thought. Next slide. In changing anything, you must understand the process, because there is a process to everything that we do. If we pay attention, we will understand this. We will understand this process by being committed and understanding that emotions override logic. Okay, so let me bring this concept to you right here. This universe that we're in operates on two energies, negative energy and positive energy. Okay, so what happens is this: that negative energy becomes our enemy, and that negative energy knows that if he keeps us in our emotions, we can't think logically. Okay, and so there's a process that happens, which we call the 5 E's: entering of the thought, entertaining the thought, examining the thought, expressing the thought, and then finally, ultimately, experiencing the thought. Next slide. Now, understand this. In any type of change, I don't care what you're trying to change from, whether it be drugs, whether it be cigarettes, whether it be just something that you want to change in your life, there's going to be a struggle. You are going to struggle with that until you leave here. That's why we come up with this concept, thanks to my brother, between the promise and the fulfillment. The promise is, I want to change this behavior. You're on the positive side. I need to change this. So between that and you actually doing it, you're going to have to go through something. And that's called the struggle. We'll get more into that as we move forward into the course. Thinking controls behavior. We all know that every action, every behavior comes from a thought. If I want to change that behavior, I must change that thinking. How do I change that thinking? By taking charge of my thinking. How do I take charge of my thinking? By paying attention. If we do not pay attention to what we involve ourselves in, we will always ultimately go back to all that we know. Okay. I also like to point this out to you too. Whenever I begin a lecture, I always have the group put their hands together like this here. Okay. This circle represents my realm of knowledge. All that I think I know about whatever I think I know is depicted right here in this circle. But I must tell myself that there is more to know than what's within this circle. And see, so that negative energy wants to keep us right in that circle. That circle becomes our belief system. Okay. That's all we know. That's our comfort zone. So if I pay attention, I will not be tricked. I will not go back because it places me in control. I'm taking charge of my thinking, which brings us to the cognitive restructuring. Our belief system is already structured. Now we're trying to change that belief system. We need to restructure that thought pattern. Next slide. Out of everything that you will learn at New Perspectives, this is the most powerfulest concept that you will ever learn. We learned this in first and second grade. We didn't really hone in on it. We didn't really understand it. But watch this though. 0 + 1 is 1. That's a fact. I'm gonna use the word impossible. It is impossible for that answer to be 2, 3, 4, or whatever. The answer is going to always be 1 because you can't add to that 0. You can't take away from it at all. So let's change that around and understand this right here. That 0, these 1, 2, 3, 4, there's 5 integers in here. The 0 is an integer. The plus sign is an integer and so forth. That 0 represents me being in control, paying attention, having a blueprint for my life. Let's look at that positive sign as being the negative energy. That negative energy want me to lose my focusness, enter the equation, enter some type of trick that he presents to me, whether it be an addiction, whether it be something, whatever it is you're trying to change. He tries to present that back to you, that 1. Remember that circle right there? All that I think I know about whatever I think I know. He wants to bring us back to that. Okay. So watch this. Life consists of 4 components: life issues, life challenges, life circumstances, life situations. That's it. That's life. That's why we call it life. Okay. So we're going to deal with those 4 components. And that negative energy is going to come through those 4 components because he knows that we're so used to responding to that out of our emotions. But if we remember, emotion override logic. He do not want you, if you notice, I always say he. I call the negative energy a he. I identify my enemy as he because he comes to steal, kill, and destroy. That's his job. So watch this. So now he tricks me by what I'm dealing with in life. I'm dealing with having no money. I'm dealing with not having a job. Or let's just stick with I'm trying to change my addiction. It's going to be a struggle. So what he does, he creates a situation because he knows if you respond to it, you left your focus and now you're in the equation, and here you are, 1 + 1 is 2. You enter the equation by going back, relapsing back into your old way of thinking. So now 1 + 1 is 2. And so that 2 represents being 6 feet under, doing drugs again, or that old behavior again, or doing life in prison or something like that, okay? So this equation, we'll get more into that, give you a better understanding of that, but this is what happens to us. Next slide. Here we go. Everybody must have a blueprint for your life. You create your own blueprint. What you do is you come up with about 5, maybe 4 or 5 goals, obtainable goals, short-term goals, okay? So now once you have those goals written down, now you have the plan. The plan is developed from each of those goals. You have goal number 1. Let's just say you want to stop doing drugs. You want to stay out of jail. You want to stop drinking, right? Now, what you need to do is write down each step it's going to take for you to reach that goal. It has to be written down, no matter how insignificant it may be. Write it down. It becomes your blueprint. And if you follow that if you follow that blueprint to the T, you will not go back, especially if you follow that concept of the equation. Next slide.
Okay, this is where we want to stop and see if anyone has any questions and explain to you the purpose of our, and you see Crystal put in the chat, welcome to our open house. This is where we're giving you a glimpse, not the full. It's about, I think Sam will let you know, he said it's about 20 sessions or more where we go through and individualize the treatment plan. That's what makes us different, individualizing the treatment plan. So we're giving you a glimpse of what New Perspective is all about. We're introducing New Perspective, but we want to hear from you, even if it's not for you personally. We know that there are some people that registered because, as Amy said, and where this ministry was birthed from was out of a burden that we had for a family member that went through a very expensive 30 days, $14,000, to the tune of $14,000 for 30 days, got out of that program, went to look for a sober living. There were no sober livings available for him. And so we moved him from house to house to keep him sober and not have him go back into his environment. So that's where this ministry is birthed out of. We have a passion, not just to be duplicating services. Unfortunately, there are a lot of people out there that has addiction, so we don't have to duplicate services and try and compete. We want to be different. We want to make sure that people don't go back and have relapse. And in the research that we did for over 3 years, that was the consistent that we found. Most of the relapse happened after care because they go into the aftercare, which is something that Sam has a personal experience with because he works with that. He works in an aftercare and he sees people come back through the doors like a revolving door. New Perspective wants to have a new way of looking at this and have a new perspective, if you will, so that we can walk alongside that person after they get out of aftercare, because they are not ready. It's just that the systems are set up at this point where they're magically, as I said in my introduction, supposed to be ready to be sober and sustain that sobriety on their own because they went through these programs. It doesn't work. It doesn't work. So if you have questions, we designed it to give you a glimpse, but to have it, as Crystal, my coach, said, a conversation. So we really want to have a conversation with you. It would take too long for Sam to go through a 20 session. He's giving you bullet points and a little glimpse, but we want to have a conversation. What are the needs out there? I'm taking notes. This is our launch. We're starting this business. Well, the business has started. We are starting to get the meat of the business because we need to hear from people like you that we will be serving. What questions do you have? I'm going to look in the chat. And I see Crystal, Denise, thank you. This is awesome. Awesome. Sam gave us a glimpse into exactly. Can you share more? What if any relapse are there? What if one relapse are they released from the program? So Sam, we're going to let you go. Crystal wants to know if you can just share a little more. I know that you were going to share about just a little bit about your story and how it worked for you, how you're changing this behavior modification changed you and changed your course in life. If you can give a little bit more about that, and then Elder Ford has a question that I will answer after you give a little bit more about how this training of cognitive-based training changed your perspective and trajectory in life.
Well, to answer that question, that's what makes New Perspectives so different, okay? Because where I work, if a person relapse, we will lock them, we will detain them back into the facility to inpatient and start over again. But see, new perspectives, we won't be dealing with that because we don't have that type of capability of locking nobody up. We don't want to do that. What we do is we just do an intervention, okay? If a person relapse, we don't just throw them away. We work with them. We try to bring new solutions. We try to get to the root of it, okay? And we need to first find out why, okay? What led up to it? There's always a beginning point, and that's where that equation thing comes in, that equation I was talking about, understanding that concept of 0 + 1, okay? That's where that comes from. If a person stays focused, paying attention, it's impossible, and I'm telling you, it's impossible to relapse because you're paying attention. One of the greatest things that we have is, and I like to say it this way, some of you may not agree, but watch this though. We have more power than God, the creator. If you think about it, he will not tap into that. He won't bother that because it's the power of choice. That's the greatest power that every human being has, the power of choice. I choose to do, or I choose not to do. Okay, so therein lies our freedom. But I can't make the proper choosing if I don't pay attention. Now, that's where my freedom came in at, paying attention. Now, I can go on for hours and hours trying to explain this process to you about how we're attacked through our emotional state because we have a belief system. That belief system has developed a lifestyle. That lifestyle would take a lifelong process to change. You never get to the point where you have arrived and you don't have to change no more, okay? It's a constant daily struggle. When I was released from prison, before I was released from prison, I developed me a life plan, a blueprint for my life, okay? And I'm following that blueprint right now as today. On my nightstand next to my bed, I turn that life plan open and I look at it. It provides me energy to where I've come from and to where I am now, okay? And in my blueprint, I wanted to go back to school. Went back to school, got my bachelor's degree in social work. After I did that, you can always add to the plan. After I'd done that, I sat out for a minute, and then I decided to go back and get my master's degree in psychology. I sat out for another year, and I went back and I got my chemical dependency license now, okay? So it does work. You have to have a blueprint. You're not going to change anything by just up here in your head. If it's up here in your head, you're not going to change. It has to be written on paper. That's why it's called a blueprint, because the enemy cannot erase what's written. If it's not written, it's not going to happen. But if it's up here, he comes to bring distraction through those 4 components of life: life issues, life challenges, life circumstances, life situations. That's how he gets us.
Very good. Exactly. And I love what is like almost like preaching after a preacher, but he's not preaching, but when he said we have more power because God gave us choice. So he gave that to us, and he's right. We hear all the time, he's not going to come and just make you do something. You have to choose. And that's where we come in to walk alongside, because we believe that people start out on this journey. Well, I can just tell you, the person that is really the catalyst for this started out on this journey a few times. And I believe they meant well, but they didn't have the right tools. And that's where new perspective come in. We've studied this for 3 years or more, actually, and we have those tools. We know how to individualize the sobriety walk. We know that it takes more than the 1 year, the 30 days, that it is a 3 to 5 years. And there's no clear cutoff. We're not going to say that we're only going to walk alongside you for 5 years, because that's where in our opening, we said we will not cookie cutter. We will individualize this. We know what there's triggers for everyone that is different. And so we will be there for you during that difference. We will walk with you as long as you show the initiatives that Sam talked about, that mind, that cognitive-based thinking, as long as you're on that path, we're with you. We're walking alongside you after aftercare, because that's where people fall off the cliff when they get out of aftercare, and magically they're supposed to be able to be sober on their own. So to answer a couple of questions, Elder Ford asks, if a person relapsed, will they be released from the program? Absolutely not. Absolutely not. We will make sure, as Sam said, what caused them, where did they fall off of this blueprint? What was the cause for them to relapse? And we will work with them. People can voluntarily dismiss themselves, because we're not going to hold people against their will, but we will not throw anyone away. As long as there's forward movement, they go backwards, that's okay. We have the skills and the expertise to work with them and find out where in that blueprint did they go wrong, and let's start from there. And then there's a question, David Young, is there any age, and right now, New Perspective is for adult men. So men only, 18 and over. And so that answers your question, Linda. Yes, men only. And let me tell you why. We didn't write this business plan and start this business on things that we thought our city and people needed. As you heard me say, it was birthed from experience and burden from dealing with a family member. That family member was a male. So that caused me to say, well, why, everywhere I called and we called around, they said, well, we have opening for women, but we don't have any opening for men. So why would we open something for women when they're in this area where there's an abundance? There seems to be an abundance. Now, that warrants more research. As you read any article on research, it'll say more research required. Well, it could be because there's more men addicted, and so their homes, their sober living places and facilities, as well as their training, are filled because there's more of them addicted. I can't make that assumption and it be an accurate assumption without doing more research. What I did do, and what I do know, is that there is a shortage in this city for men sober living programs. So that's why our business plan actually went to where the need is, and the need is for men. Any other questions? Okay, well, thank you for all of your questions. Sam, did you want to elaborate on anything else before we do a wrap up? Are you on mute?
No.
Okay.
Yeah. See, I don't know if I was really clear on when I was talking about understanding the process. Let's be clear. In everything that we as human beings attempt to do, there is a process.
Absolutely.
If we better understand the process of a thing, we can better master it. Does that mean we're not going to have tests and trials and setbacks? No, it doesn't mean none of that. But what it does, it raises the consciousness, in other words. And that's what New Perspectives is. We want to try to change the mindset of an addicted population, whether it be drugs, whether it be just addictive behavior. Okay, everybody has addictive behavior. There's good ones and there's the bad ones. We want to change. We want to give you new insights, new tools, new skills to address that. And the only way, the only avenue is through our thought process. That's why somewhere it's written, as a man thinketh, so is he. Okay, so watch this. If I'm gonna think like that, whatever consumes my thinking, I'm going to be that. So if I change my thinking, I can change that behavior. Now, what you need to understand is this though. That's where the struggle comes in at. You must embrace your struggle. You must tell yourself, I'm going to struggle. I'm ready to struggle. Bring it on. When the pain of remaining the same outweighs the pain of change, change will occur. When we make up in our mind, I'd rather go through this pain of change than go through the pain of remaining the same. I want to come out of that circle. This is destroying my life. I need to come out of that circle. And it can be done by being focused and paying attention, because the enemy is going to be at you. The enemy comes to your addiction. The enemy comes to your addictive thinking. That's what we call your comfort zone. I'm tired of going through this struggle. Forget it. I give up. Forget it. Okay. And so now we're just going to go back. But no, we must be committed. As we spoke about in one of the slides, we must be committed to that change. How bad do you really want to change? People say, oh, I want to change this. I want to do this here. I'm gonna do it. Now you come what I call, now you got I'm-a-itis now. I'm gonna always do, I'm gonna always. No, let's be for real. Let's do this. You can do it. We believe in you. We know you can do it. We're here to stand. That's why we say your answer in the meantime. While you're going through that struggle, we're here for you.
That's right. Amy, is there anything you want to add, Amy, on your, I'm sorry, I dropped something, on your clinical expertise as far as New Perspective?
I think the main that, you know, Sam's been really pointing out is the cognitive behavioral therapy, and it's the most important aspect of getting to where you need to be. Obviously, we will offer other services, but it'll be based on an individualized plan of care. And like we said, it's not, you know, you talked about the cookie cutter. We're looking at each person holistically, mind, body, and soul, and hopefully be able to move you and keep you, you know, in a healthy place. Right.
And that's why, I mean, it's designed. I'm sure our team will grow, but initially we have everything. I mean, we're confident that we have everything to be holistic, to be multidisciplinary. Sam, as a, he's more of the psychiatric part of this. I mean, and we just have to keep it, you know, as we talk about the whole being, and that's his specialty. He understands there are things, and we believe in staying in our lane. As we have gotten to this point, I don't cross over into Sam's thing. I can't, he's yeah. That's his role. He's up there with all of that, and that's okay. We've done the research, and we know the things that he specializes in. It works. It works. And bringing Amy on was just a joy and a pleasure for me. Like I said, she is my sister by another mother for over 25 years. And just a little personal note there. Amy started out as a new nurse. And I tease her all the time because I trained her, and then she went on to make 6 figures and be a nurse practitioner. I told her she owed me some of that money. But her expertise and specialty is what we need, because we need to have a collaborating advanced practice nurse. And when I asked her, she had no hesitation at all to say, absolutely, I will be there. And she did her research, and she was able to, in her opening, as you see, that's the thing for me as a director. I wanted to make sure that this is not a job. Each of us have jobs. We all have jobs. This is, and I love that Amy caught right onto that. This is a ministry. So we have a passion for this. And she jumped right in with both feet, with passion, and able to connect from a personal standpoint, which is what we believe makes us different. That's one of we have a few things that make us different. We pointed them out earlier. We started as a family-owned business, community-based. We will be more than just cookie cutter, as Amy once again said. It's going to be individualized around you, your needs, even your schedule. We're going to have nothing that is only about us and we say, come and do it this way because this is what works for us. This is about you and your loved one. We want to make sure that we have sustainable sobriety. We want to be on the map to say, this is something different. This program works. And we believe that with our whole heart. This program works. What we have will work if you let us walk alongside you after your aftercare. Okay. There was another question in here from Linda, how will we be funded? Right now, I will give you a little bit more, but this particular program was funded by the Lucas County Mental Health and Recovery Board. That's why we can give it to you free of charge. And that was, Linda, you jumped ahead. That's in my ending, but I'm going to give you a little piece of that now. So that's how this was funded. And then we have our hats and other baskets. I was going to say at the end too, that when we get the clients to come to us, we'll talk more about, again, nothing is cookie cutter. Everybody's financial situation is different. We'll take private insurance. We'll take Medicaid. We are there for that. We will take private insurance. And so that's how we will be funded. Private insurance, private pay, Medicaid, and other grants, because this program is being brought to you by a grant that we wrote and was selected out of hundreds of other companies. So we're proud of that. We see other people see what we have as different, and they have the buy-in, we have the buy-in, we have the passion. We're just ready to work. We're just ready to work with you and your loved ones to make sure that people can be whole and healthy. Okay, if no more questions, I will, Crystal, go to our final slides. So we trust that you've learned something that will help you or the person you love begin and continue the sobriety sustainable journey. The slide that we had that gives a little sneak preview about all of that slide. So basically letting you know that we talked about the sobriety coaching being a concierge, meaning that it is around you. This is going to be built around you. You're going to have accountability partners and coaching, group sessions, developing some healthy relationships. We know that with addictions, there's a lot of relationships, but many of them are not healthy. So New Perspective will give you the tools that you need to have a new perspective and have healthy relationships. This is just to name a few. Okay, so let's take this trip together. Let's work. There's a interest form that Crystal has dropped in the chat. If you would fill that out, let's get the work together. And like I said, we will discuss payment structure when we meet you individually. We want to thank you so very much for joining us. Please complete the interest form and let us walk the journey with you to healthy sobriety. For those of you who are local, there will be in-person wrap-up session held at a local library in mid-February. You will be contacted with the specifics at a later date. You will be able to discuss more about your needs, meet our team in person, and receive your swag bag. For those of you that are not local, we will be mailing, if you provide, make sure that your information was on the registration form. We will mail you your swag bag. I want to thank, special thanks to Crystal Taylor for she and her team at Crystal Clear Communication, who've been working so very hard with us that are not technical savvy, working with us to make sure that this presentation was done in excellence. So Crystal, thank you so much, you and your team. I lastly want to thank a very special thanks to the Mental Health Board and Recovery of Lucas County for co-sponsoring this program, which allowed us to bring the program to you free of charge and to introduce the services of New Perspective. So once again, on behalf of New Perspective, Sam Ford, Amy Gins, and myself, we thank you so very much for taking time out this evening. We hope that you've learned some things, and we hope that we continue the journey with either you or your loved one in the very near future. Thank you.
Before everyone leaves, if you would please, when you are leaving the program, you will receive a link that has a survey in it. And if you would like us to mail your gift bag to you, go ahead and put your address there. The survey helps us complete our grant responsibilities of evaluating. So we would love it if you would give us a little bit of information there. Thanks so much for participating with New Perspectives today, and we hope to hear from you soon.
Oh, Crystal, I'm sorry, I wasn't really good in there were a couple other things in the chat from Mr. Lockhart. Please include your contact number so I can add, okay, and congratulations on the grant. Thank you so much. Thank you, First Lady, for your compliments, and as well as Denise. I think I got all the chat.
Yep, and the phone number is there on the screen, and our email address. All right.
You could also visit us on Facebook, and very soon our website. And on Facebook, the commercial that we ran will be there as well. So thank you.